The rain was coming down hard that April evening when my son Toby burst through the front door, his wife Maribel trailing behind him like a peacock in her designer heels. I was sitting in my favorite armchair, the one my late husband bought me 30 years ago, working on a quilt for the church charity auction. "Ma." Toby's voice cracked with excitement. "Ma, we did it. We won." I looked up from my needlework, adjusting my reading glasses. At 68, my eyes weren't what they used to be, but I could see the wild gleam in my son's eyes clear enough. "Won what, sweetheart?" Maribel snatched the lottery ticket from Toby's trembling hands and waved it in my face. "The jackpot, you old fool. $100 million. I set down my quilting and stood slowly, my arthritis protesting. "That's wonderful news. I'm so happy for you both." But something shifted in the room. The joy drained from Toby's face, replaced by something I'd never seen before. A coldness that made my heart skip. Maribel whispered something in his ear, her perfectly manicured nails digging into his shoulder. "Ma," Toby said, not meeting my eyes. "We need to talk." "About what, honey?" Maribel stepped forward, her red lips curling into a smile that reminded me of a snake. "About your living arrangements. Leona. You see, we're rich now. We don't need an old woman dragging us down, eating our food, taking up space in what will soon be our mansion." I felt the words hit me like physical blows. "Toby. What is she saying?" My son, my only child, the boy I'd raised alone after his father died, the one I'd sacrificed everything for, finally looked at me. "It's time, Ma. We're done with your table scraps. Get out." The quilting hoop fell from my hands. You're throwing me out? After everything?" 20 minutes, Maribel said, checking her diamond-encrusted watch. "Pack light. We're renovating anyway." I stood there for a moment, feeling every one of my 68 years. Then, surprisingly, I found myself smiling. A small, knowing smile that seemed to unnerve them both. "Son," I said quietly, "did you even check whose name is on that ticket?" Their faces went pale. Maribel snatched the ticket back, her eyes scanning frantically. The color drained from her face like water from a broken dam. "But let me back up. You need to understand how we got here. 3 days earlier, I'd gone to Murphy's Corner store like I did every Tuesday. Mr. Murphy had been running that shop for 40 years, and he always saved me the day-old bread at half price. As I was checking out, I noticed the Mega Millions jackpot had climbed to 100 million. "Feeling lucky, Leona?" Mr. Murphy asked with his Irish lilt. I fingered the old silver dollar in my pocket, my husband Robert's lucky coin. He'd carried it through Vietnam and brought it home safe. Since he passed 5 years ago, I'd kept it with me always. "You know what? Give me 1 ticket, Tommy." I filled out the numbers carefully. Our wedding date, Toby's birthday, the day Robert proposed, and 3 numbers from his military ID. As I always did with important documents, I signed my name on the back of the ticket. Robert had taught me that, always put your name on what's yours, Leona. You never know. When I got home, Toby was there, rummaging through my refrigerator. He'd been coming around more lately, ever since he'd lost his job at the factory. Maribel never came with him during these visits. She was always at the salon or shopping with money they didn't have. "Ma, you got anything to eat?" Maribel maxed out the credit cards again. I fixed him a sandwich and watched him wolf it down. My boy had changed since marrying that woman 2 years ago. The light in his eyes had dimmed, replaced by a constant worry about money and status. "I bought a lottery ticket today," I mentioned casually, pulling it from my purse. 100 million jackpot. His eyes lit up. "Can I see?" I handed it over, and he studied the numbers. These are good numbers, Ma. Real good. Mind if I hold on to it? For luck. I already signed it, honey. See? Right there on the back. He barely glanced at my signature. Yeah, I see. I'll keep it safe, promise. Maribel's got this whole system for checking numbers. She's really good with this stuff. I hesitated. Something in my gut told me to keep that ticket, but this was my son. My only child. All right, but remember what your father always said. Money means nothing if it destroys your soul. He kissed my cheek, already heading for the door. Thanks, Ma. Love you. That was 3 days ago. The last time he'd told me he loved me. Now, standing in my living room with rain pounding against the windows, I watched Maribel's face cycle through emotions like a broken slot machine. Disbelief. Rage. Panic. This can't be right, she stammered. Toby, you said. I didn't see it. Toby grabbed the ticket, staring at my signature. Ma, you signed it. I always sign important documents, sweetheart. Your father taught me that. Maribel turned on him like a rabid dog. You idiot. You didn't even look. You just took it. She gave it to me. To hold, I corrected gently. Not to claim as your own. The 20 minutes they'd given me to pack were ticking by, but I didn't move. Instead, I walked to the kitchen and put on a pot of tea. My hands were steady now, though my heart was breaking. Ma, Toby followed me, his voice desperate. Ma, please. We can work this out. We're family. Are we? I asked, filling the kettle. Family doesn't throw family out in the rain for money, Toby. Maribel was on her phone now, frantically Googling something. Her face grew paler with each search result. It says here, if someone else's name is on the ticket, then it belongs to them, I finished. Legally and completely. But you gave it to him, she shrieked. To hold, not to steal. The kettle whistled, and I poured myself a cup of chamomile. Outside, the rain had become a storm, lightning illuminating the sky in violent bursts. How appropriate, I thought. Get out, Maribel hissed at me. Get out anyway. We'll contest this. We'll say you're senile, that you didn't know what you were doing. I took a sip of my tea. Mr. Murphy has security cameras. They'll show me buying that ticket, signing it, sound of mind and body. Would you like to call him? I have his number. Toby sank into a kitchen chair, his head in his hands. Ma, please. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. Maribel just said, shut up, his wife snapped. Don't blame this on me. You're the one who... Their argument escalated, voices rising like the storm outside. I quietly picked up my phone and dialed a number I hadn't used in years. Henry. It's Liana. Yes, I know it's late. I need your help, old friend. It seems I've won the lottery, and I'm going to need a very good lawyer. Henry Monroe had been my husband's best friend since high school. After Robert passed, Henry had checked on me regularly, making sure I was managing all right. As a retired banker, he knew everyone worth knowing in the financial world. Liana, are you serious? 100 million. Yes, and Toby and his wife are trying to claim it as theirs. They just tried to throw me out of my own home. I heard him suck in a breath. That boy. Robert would be spinning in his grave. Don't you worry, dear. I know just the lawyer. Selena Carter. She's a shark in Prada, eats cases like this for breakfast. I don't want to destroy my son, Henry. He's destroying himself. Liana. You're just protecting what's yours. As I hung up, I found Toby and Maribel still screaming at each other in my living room. She was throwing things now. My quilting supplies, the photos on the mantel, anything she could reach. You promised me, she shrieked. You said we'd be rich. You said we'd never have to see her wrinkled face again. I didn't know she'd signed it. Because you're an idiot. A pathetic mama's boy who can't even steal properly. I stood in the doorway, watching my son's marriage implode. Part of me wanted to comfort him, but the larger part, the part that had just been told to get out like unwanted trash, stayed silent. I'm going to stay with Henry tonight, I announced. They both turned to stare at me. I'll give you both time to process this. But make no mistake, that ticket is mine. The money is mine. And this house? Also mine. Robert left it to me, not to you. Ma, Toby started. Don't. I held up my hand. You made your choice 20 minutes ago when you told me to get out. Now live with it. I packed a small overnight bag, taking only essentials and the photo of Robert from my nightstand. As I headed for the door, Maribel blocked my path. This isn't over, she hissed. We'll fight this. We'll take everything. I looked at her. Really looked at her. Beneath the makeup and designer clothes, I saw what my son had been too blind to see, a woman so consumed by greed that she'd devour anyone in her path. You already took everything, I said quietly. You took my son's soul. The money was just going to be dessert. Henry's guest room was warm and comfortable, nothing like the cold rain I'd driven through to get there. He made me hot cocoa, the real kind, not from a packet, and listened as I told him everything. That woman is poison, he said when I finished. I've been wanting to tell you for years, but it wasn't my place. I know what she is. I hoped Toby would see it too, eventually. And now, I stared into my cocoa. Now I don't know if there's enough of my son left to save. The next morning, Selena Carter arrived at Henry's house at exactly 9 a.m. She was everything Henry had promised. Sharp, professional, and radiating the kind of confidence that made opposing lawyers sweat. Mrs. Rowan, she said, shaking my hand firmly. Henry's told me the basics. I need you to tell me everything, from the beginning. Don't leave out any detail, no matter how small. For the next 2 hours, I laid out the whole story. She took notes on a legal pad, occasionally asking clarifying questions. When I showed her photos of the signed ticket, I'd been smart enough to take pictures before giving it to Toby. Her smile was like a shark sensing blood. This is open and shut, she said. Your signature, your numbers, surveillance footage of you purchasing it. They don't have a leg to stand on. What if they've already tried to claim it? They can't without the physical ticket, which I assume you want back immediately. We'll file an injunction today preventing them from taking any action with that ticket. We'll also demand its immediate return. And if they refuse? Her smile widened. Then we involve the police. Theft of $100 million is a serious crime, Mrs. Rowan. Your son and daughter-in-law could face significant jail time. My heart clenched. I don't want Toby to go to jail. Then he'd better return that ticket. The legal papers were served that afternoon. Henry drove me past my house. I wasn't ready to face them yet, and we could see Toby's car in the driveway. 20 minutes later, his phone started blowing up my voicemail. Ma, please call me back. Ma, we need to talk about this. Ma, Maribel's gone crazy. She's breaking things. Please. Ma, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please don't do this. I didn't call back. Not yet. Selena had advised me to let them stew, to feel the weight of what they'd done. Desperation makes people honest, she'd said. That evening, Henry and I were watching Jeopardy when the doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I could see Toby standing in the rain, looking like he'd aged 10 years in one day. Let him in, I told Henry. But stay close. My son entered like a beaten dog, water dripping from his clothes. The confident man who'd ordered me out of my home was gone, replaced by the boy I'd once bandaged after he fell off his bike. Ma, he said, his voice breaking. Ma, I'm so sorry. Where's Maribel? Gone. She left an hour ago. Said she was done with losers and liars. He laughed bitterly. Funny how quick love dies when the money disappears. I gestured to the couch. Sit. You're dripping on Henry's floors. He sat, pulling the lottery ticket from his pocket with shaking hands. Here. It's yours. It was always yours. I let her get in my head, Ma. She kept saying we deserved better, that you were holding us back, that once we had money, that you could throw away the woman who raised you like yesterday's garbage. He flinched. I didn't mean it. You have to believe me. Oh, I believe you didn't mean it, Toby. That's almost worse. You threw away your own mother not out of genuine feeling, but because a woman who married you for your potential paycheck told you to. What does that say about you? Tears were streaming down his face now. I know what I did. I can't take it back. But Ma, please. You're all I have left. I took the ticket from his trembling hands, checking to make sure it was real. My signature stared back at me, a reminder of how close I'd come to losing everything. Do you remember, I said quietly, when you were 8 and Tommy Morrison stole your lunch money? He nodded, confused by the change in topic. You came home crying, said you were going to steal it back. What did I tell you? That stealing from a thief still makes you a thief. And what else? His voice was barely a whisper. That the money wasn't worth losing myself over. Yet here we are, 30 years later, and you forgot that lesson for $100 million and a pretty face. Ma, please. I'll do anything. I'll go to counseling. I'll get a job. I'll prove to you that I'm still your son. I studied him for a long moment. Somewhere under the greed and weakness, I could still see glimpses of the boy who used to bring me dandelions and call them flowers. The ticket is mine, I said firmly. The money is mine. That's not negotiable. He nodded quickly. I know. I understand. I'm not finished. You're going to sign a legal document acknowledging that you have no claim to this money. You're going to do it willingly, or Selena will pursue theft charges. I'll sign anything. And Toby, you're going to get help. Real help. Therapy to figure out how you let that woman twist you into someone who could throw away his own mother. Because until you do that, until you really understand what you did and why, we can't have a relationship. His face crumpled. You're cutting me off. I'm giving you a chance to earn your way back. That's more than you gave me. The next few days passed in a blur of legal documents and lottery officials. Selena handled everything with ruthless efficiency. The surveillance footage from Murphy's store clearly showed me purchasing and signing the ticket. The Lottery Commission confirmed that the signature on the back made me the sole legitimate winner. Maribel tried to cause trouble, of course. She went on social media, painting herself as the victim of a manipulative old woman who'd stolen her family's fortune. But when Selena released the security footage of me buying the ticket, along with timestamps showing Toby and Maribel hadn't even been in the store, her story fell apart. The best part was when someone leaked audio of To become the man he was meant to be. I needed to learn that I was strong enough to stand up for myself. I needed to discover that real wealth isn't in bank accounts. It's in this, right here. You on my lap, your sister playing with blocks, your parents making dinner together in the kitchen. So the money wasn't important. I kissed the top of his head, breathing in that little boy's smell of sunshine and mischief. The money was just paper, sweetheart. What mattered was what it revealed about people's hearts. And sometimes, we need our hearts broken open before they can heal stronger. He seemed satisfied with that, wiggling down to go play with his sister. I watched him go, thinking about cycles and second chances, about the way life sometimes has to knock us down before we can truly stand tall. That lottery ticket, those 6 numbers chosen with Robert's lucky coin, they gave me $100 million. But more than that, they gave me the truth. The truth about my son, about his ex-wife, about my own strength. They forced us all to show who we really were when tested. Greed tried to throw me out of my own family. It walked into my home wearing designer heels and speaking poison, turning my son into someone I didn't recognize. For 20 minutes on that rainy April night, I thought I'd lost everything that mattered. But the truth was written in my name all along. Not just on the back of that ticket, but in the fabric of who we are. I am Leona Rowan, widow, mother, grandmother, survivor. I am the woman who bought a lottery ticket with her dead husband's lucky coin and signed her name out of habit. I am the woman who gave her son a second chance when he deserved none, who gave away millions to keep her soul intact. And Toby. He's the man who learned that throwing away your mother for money costs more than any lottery can pay. He's the father teaching his children that integrity matters more than income, that family isn't something you discard when fortune smiles. The $100 million is long gone, spread across scholarships and soup kitchens, medical bills for strangers and down payments for struggling families. But what remains is worth so much more. A son redeemed, grandchildren who will grow up knowing their worth isn't measured in dollars, and the knowledge that sometimes the greatest gifts come disguised as the worst betrayals. That's my story. The story of how my son hit the jackpot and threw me out, only to discover that the real treasure was the mother he tried to throw away. The story of how greed revealed itself in all its ugliness, and how love, patient, persistent love, won in the end. As I sit here now, watching the rain fall just like it did that night 5 years ago, I'm grateful. Grateful for the test that revealed the truth. Grateful for the strength to pass it. And most of all, grateful for the chance to rebuild what greed tried to destroy. Because in the end, that's what family is. Not the people who stand by you when you're rich, but the ones who help you become rich in the ways that actually matter. And by that measure, I'm the wealthiest woman alive. Thank you so much for joining me on this emotional journey. If this story touched your heart, reminded you of the importance of family over fortune, or simply gave you something to think about, I'd be honored if you'd subscribe to hear more stories like this one. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss a tale of redemption, truth, and the triumph of love over greed. Remember, your true worth isn't in your wallet, but in your heart. Until next time, this is Leona Rowan reminding you to hold your loved ones close and your values even closer. God bless.